An Android application needs to register with GCM servers before it can receive messages. To help us with this, we are adding two new services. The first is My Instance ID Listener service, which extends from GCM's Instance ID Listener service. This service is what checks the validity of a registration token and requests a new one if a token is not present or is expired. Google Play Services will automatically start this service and invoke onTokenRefresh when it detects that a new token is needed. To get a new token, we have a registration intent service, which will communicate with the GCM servers off of the main thread. Keeping the registration work in its own service instead of the Instance ID Listener service means that it can be invoked only when needed, which may not always overlap with the token refresh, such as the initial registration when the app starts. It also makes for cleaner code so that you can easily track bugs and make future changes. But you could also have done all of this work in one service if you prefer, which is why I mentioned that this was our fourth class when we were talking about the Android manifest. To perform the registration, we use the Instance ID class to call getToken. This class needs a sender ID, which is pulled from our Google Services.json config file. Then it also needs a scope for the permissions that will be granted by the token and any parameters required by that scope. In our case, there are none. Once we have our token, we store a Boolean in shared preferences to let us know we've got it. Normally, you would also want to send the token to your server. The server needs the token in order to send a message to the specific device in the future. However, because we don't have a server, you should log the token so that you can use it later in our website. But generally, a token should be kept secret and not just logged willy-nilly. All of this takes place in the background so as not to block the main thread. And since our GCM feature isn't a core piece of the app, we don't need to worry about letting a user know when they are registered. But if your feature is necessary to your app's behavior, you may also want to let the users know their registration status somewhere in your UI. Finally, we'll need to modify our Google Play Services check in onCreate inside of main activity to see if our app is already registered. We can do this by checking the Boolean that we stored with the default value of false. This means that if we cannot find the Boolean, assume we have not registered. And if we haven't already, we will register the app by invoking our new registration service. If an app is not registered, or if Google Play Services is not available, this device will simply not receive any messages. This is convenient because it also means we do not need to hide layouts or features, as may be the case in your app.